we thought for a long time that we belonged there, that we were not part of this species. We thought we were some kind of, people that wasn't supposed to be born.
I kind of thought for a while maybe there was something wrong with me. Or why would I be here?
Fernald, originally known as the Experimental School for the Teaching and Training of Idiotic Children, was founded in 1848 in South Boston by Samuel Gridley Howe in order to care for children born with abnormalities. When the school was established, it became a sanctuary for disabled children with inadequate living situations or neglectful families. Howe is well known for being the first director of the Perkins Institute for the Blind, which is located in Watertown, Massachusetts. Around the time Howe died, eugenics was becoming a prominent practice in America. Eugenics is defined as the study or belief in the possibility of improving the qualities of a human species or a human population, especially by such means as discouraging reproduction by persons having genetic defects or presumed to have inheritable undesirable traits. Created in 1883 by Francis Galton, the term eugenics derived from the Greek word eugenes, meaning well-born. Eugenics became a common practice not only in the U.S., but also in Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany's leader from 1934 to 1945, believed that the Aryan race was the strongest race. By eliminating Jewish, disabled, and quote-unquote undesirable people, Hitler was fulfilling the fundamentals of eugenics. Walter Elmore Fernald became director of the institution shortly after Howe's passing. Under Fernald, the school began to operate based on fulfilling the ideals of eugenics. It was at the Waltham site that the Quaker Oats Company, Harvard, and MIT performed testing on mentally disabled children, with the support of the U.S. government, the state of Massachusetts, and Fernald's administration. On December 26, 1993, Fred Boyce, resident of Fernald from 1949 to 1961, learned that the science club Boyce was a part of at Fernald had exposed him and 56 other participants to radioactive isotopes. The boys in the club had no knowledge of the radioactivity, and they had not given the Quaker Oats Company or the investigators their consent. The experiments involving radioactive isotopes were funded by the Quaker Oats Company, and the tests were administered by Harvard University and MIT students. During the experiments, innocent children were injected with and fed radioactive isotopes by the researchers from Harvard and MIT. Nutritional values of phytates would be measured with the radioactive isotopes. Phytates are antioxidant compounds that are usually found in legumes, seeds, nuts, and whole grains. Oatmeal is made of whole grains, so researchers knew that phytates would be present in the oatmeal provided by the Quaker Oats Company. At the time, the researchers were not sure of what effects phytates could potentially have on the human body. These compounds are found in food, not naturally occurring in the body. The goal of the researchers was to use the radioactive isotopes as tracers to determine how phytates affected the body. Radioactive isotopes were important to the experiments because the level of phytates in the body and where the phytates were located could be tracked with them. When a child was injected with or fed a radioactive isotope, the level of phytates could be measured with that isotope. If a blood test showed radioactivity, that proved that the phytates had made their way into the bloodstream. Researchers discovered that oatmeal and farina both equally inhibited the absorption of calcium and iron, causing deficiencies. Finally, the Quaker Oats Company had gained the advantage that they had been hoping for. The Quaker Oats Company planned to use their research on phytates to advertise that their oatmeal was just as nutritious as the breakfast products of their only competitor, the Cream of Wheat Company. The U.S. Department of Atomic Energy approved the dosage for radioactive experiments and sent them directly to Fernald. Shockingly, Fernald was not the only institution that used disabled children in radioactive experiments for the benefit of big businesses and the pursuit of science. A few days before the radio announcement regarding Fernald in December of 1993, confidential government information was declassified and shared with the public. With the Defense Department's approval, the Secretary of Energy released information about human testing experiments that took place during the Cold War, from 1947 to 1991. Nuclear testing in America had been happening for years. Society as a whole began to recognize that a change needed to be made to protect the rights of disabled people. During the year 1947, the Nuremberg Code was created as a result of trials that took place after the Second World War had ended. These trials, known as the Nuremberg Trials, were held between 1945 and 1949, in which the Allies prosecuted German military leaders. The Nuremberg Code was the first set of rules that prevented the opportunity for people to take advantage of human test subjects. In 1962, the drug amendment legislation was passed, which stated animals would be experimented on before humans. Once passed through the animal testing stage, the drug would be tested thoroughly on a group of voluntary humans who were made completely aware of the possible side effects. After 3 runs through the human test group, a drug could be cleared and released to the public. In 1974, the National Research Act was passed. This act established that the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects in Biomedical Behavioral Research. This group was created to identify the basic principles of research conduct and suggested ways to ensure those principles were followed. These laws and acts ensured that these involuntary human experiments can never happen again.
They took away my childhood, my education. The 2 things that you need to make it in life, they took from me.